Hi, welcome to another video. Apologies, it's been some time since I posted anything. To be honest, it's taken me a while to tidy up the workbench and get something interesting to show you. I think the theme of tonight's video will be fairly apparent. Just wanted to sort of perhaps show you a little bit about what I've been up to, painting some Peri-miniature samurai. This will be my first game, Test of Honor. As you can see, the figures are done. See if we can give you a little bit of a better view. Painted to pretty good standard, some nice basing. This will be as I say, the first game that we're prepping for. I find myself in a position where the figures are ready. I've got much of the terrain set to go. We'll have a little look at that perhaps either later in this video or in another one. But we're actually short of the centerpiece that I promised myself that we would have, and that is the Sarissa Precision Samurai Castle. So this video is going to show you a little bit about what I've done to do that. The game's tomorrow. It's now the evening, so this should be a test of endurance as much of a test of honor. Thanks. Okay, so this really is an unboxing. I haven't actually taken this guy out of the box at all. Might need my modelling knife just to cut these. There we go. As I said, this is a Sarissa Precision product. It's come nicely packaged. Just checking inside the actual package itself. So we just eliminate that. That's what we're going to try and do this evening, is end up with something a little bit close to that. As you can see, it comes unpainted. What I intend to do is glue it using some ordinary wood glue, and then seal it with some MDF sealer before giving it a quick coat. I suspect that the gluing will be done this evening, and the sealant and painting, if I'm lucky, will be done tomorrow morning. As I say, the game a bit later in the day, so we have got some time to do that. It's vacuum sealed, so let's just get this guy started there. We've managed to pull a strand off. I've actually had this model quite some time, and only now, after a number of, well, probably a number of years, got round to actually putting the thing together. So first things first, what kind of instructions have we got here? Right, you can see it comes with a nice pamphlet, comes a set of pages. What I'm going to have to do first is have a little look at what we've got in terms of the overall product. Let me put that around so that you guys can see. So we're going to start with what I'm guessing is the base, and then build up each layer as we go. So we need, it actually says courtyard center box panels. So maybe this is the top piece, and maybe the side comes a bit later. What I'm going to try and do now is find all the pieces for that first section. As you can see, some of the pieces are actually falling out already. Not particularly too much of a problem. Like most kits, once you start building, the more you build, the easier it becomes, because the amount of pieces that you can use obviously diminish. I would say that these panels are beginning to look more interesting. These sections. There is no obvious marking on the sprue, which perhaps would have been a little bit of a help. And as you can see, the sections are falling out pretty much without too much encouragement. So we'll just take those guys out. The up one's a little bit stiff. Let me just get the modelling knife down there. Popped out. Not sure whether that denotes anything. Let's just check one of the other sprues. 19, 14. Okay, so they are numbered in terms of the number of sprues that we've got. This happens to be number 13, but from the diagram that I showed previously, that's beginning to look a little bit more interesting. We have the right alignment, so I'm guessing that's the right piece for us. I'll just turn this around so I can read it. What we're looking at is that one being in the center, that way around. Okay, so maybe that's not quite right, because although it has got the slots in it, they seem to be up the wrong way. So before we launch anything we might forget, let's just see what else we've got here. No. I'm not entirely convinced. So that's obviously got notches on, which is clearly not the piece we're interested in. Put that to one side. No. No. One thing I haven't checked is whether there's an online. Oh, this happens. This is cardboard. This is thin card. Sorry, not cardboard. There's a whole section in there which is thin card. That's clearly not the piece for now. Let's move that to one side. Yeah, just a nice relief of stonework there, which I presume we'll be showing a bit later. Okay, let's have a quick look through the rest of this. I don't know why, I'm assuming that we're starting with MDF and then the card pieces will fit on top. Hopefully that's a logical approach. As I said, I haven't checked the website to see if there's any further information. We might have a little look at that if we get stuck. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. The piece I'm looking for obviously has that angle there that you can see, and the 3 struts. To me, it's looking like this one here. Again, it's coming out fairly easily from the sprue without too much encouragement being required. A bit of a twist, we'll remove those. Let's take this out of the way. So we've got a piece that now seems to fit the bill. You can see the little tags on the end. we can see the 3, and we know that it needs to be facing that way up so that we get the right angle on the downward side of the diagram. Then we're looking for pieces that I'm assuming are on the same sprue. And again, you've got the tags there, the 3 slots, that's looking pretty interesting. 3 slots and a tag, 3 slots and a tag, 3 slots and a tag. So I'm just going to remove the paper so I can actually orientate it the way round that I need it. We're going to do that. The diagram says slot and glue together the courtyard centre box panels 1 and 2 with the cross centre support, which is this one. So as you can see, or as you could see, sorry, from the original diagram, the tags are facing this way up. We've got what appears to be a gap in the middle. All I would say is that's not particularly easy. Let's see if we got some better fitting one. And I should have pointed out, obviously, that we've got 3 downward sections. It's not quite as easy as I was hoping. So just lift that out again. Make sure that we've got the right sections in the right place. Can't tell from the diagram how far down they go, so I'm going to have a quick look around and see if I've been misled and picked up a different set of sprues or a different set of pieces, the ones I should be using. These are clearly nothing like it. What else have we got? No. Sorry about this, but I really don't want to start with a mistake, as it were. Okay. I won't show you all of them, but suffice to say, I've gone through all of the other pieces and sprues, and there aren't any. So we have to take these. We have 2 outer pieces, and you can tell that they're the outer pieces because the slots are reversed, if you see what I mean. I think the important bit is to get the tags all facing the right way. That is a good solid connection, and as you can see, it goes all the way down through to the end. And if you align pieces, you'll see that the holes or the runners finish at the same point. So we should be able to get that flush like that, as these pieces have gone. So what I might do is just take the opportunity of grabbing the wood glue no particular product intended here. This happens to be a Wix weatherproof wood adhesive, just because it was the one that I had to hand, really. Now I'm going to be bold and put a little bit of glue Gonna come out glue. Sometimes you find that you've created a bit of a blockage and you've used it before. So let's try and remember what we're doing. We're doing this join here because we get the two tags for the top. So let's just put a bit of squeeze on, or maybe not. Yeah, there we go. Just not opened up enough. Sorry about that. Okay, there's the first join. I think given the tightness of the join, probably not too much to worry about in terms of glue. Wipe off the excess. Your fingers are just as good as anything. So let's just make sure the other piece fits. This is this side. Again, a bit snug, but that will definitely go. Before we commit to that too much, let's get another section glued. Okay. Let's just offer this one up again. Yep, I'm happy that that's going to go. So let's try and put a little bit of glue in each section. And obviously, might need to take a bit of care. I am trying to be a little bit quicker this evening. So we've got the gist of what we're trying to do there. Don't worry too much about the extra glue, but as I said, I tend to run down with a thumb or a fingernail, just pull off all of the excess and just rub it away. So this piece is our main piece that we're trying to fit these guys onto. Again, it was a little bit stiff from what we saw earlier. It's still in that sort of category. What I'm going to do is take the opportunity of opening up a file set, and we'll just give this guy a bit of a filing. Just gentle run through both gaps. See if that's made a difference. We know it's going to go on the outside pieces. So let's do that. Yeah. Okay. And, let's remind ourselves that we're trying to achieve is over here. So it's a little bit difficult for me to read that upside down. But we've got this central piece around, and then we're trying to fit it onto this section here. That's helped a little bit. There we go. Before I commit to that, we'll just put another little bit of glue on here. And try and obviously get it in the groove. Okay. Okay. There we go. As you saw there is a little bit of flex in it. I think it's going to be important to get the next pieces lined up sooner rather than later. So we're going to move on to this section here. Not sure how you can read that. We're going to find similar pieces to the ones that we saw before. I've kept the ones that are suspiciously looking candidates. So I'll just reverse the paper, take a little look at the instructions, see how this might fit it onto what we've just built. So we're looking for a section very similar to that. Oops, this piece. Let's form the outer edge. We're looking for this type of section here. Again, we've got 3. That's the middle section. Okay, so this guy's going to sit like that. This one over here, not immediately obvious, but I'm assuming a little bit like that. So we're going to take this section here, after a quick recheck of the orientation of the diagram. A little bit of off-camera scraping of the join. Okay. I've looked on the later diagram, and this piece wants to come this side. So that gap there is this side of this line. So let's just go for this again. Probably psychological, but that seems to fit better anyway. So we now have these pieces, which will be joining down here. Oops. Like so. Again. Really. Okay, there we go. Okay, they will go quite nicely, I think. So just going to pop a little bit of glue in these ones. As I said, I'm not worrying too much about the glue at this stage. What is important, try and line them up square. And you kind of know when you've got it, because you can feel that it wants to join. Pick that up a minute. Yeah. Just end on there. I've turned it to the side, and you can see that I was a bit off in terms of that join, which is why it was difficult. As you push down, I think the kit is fine. Nothing to worry about in terms of fit. I'm going to repeat the glue here. I'm just going to assume this time, because I scraped this one before, it's going to fit a bit better than last time. There we go. And again, what I'm doing is just checking that the thing is nice and level on the ground, and that things have been squeezed to the correct point. So we've got this end piece here to fit on. As I said earlier, this has got a sort of strange arrangement of about 2 pieces on there. That is actually the next piece to fit on. I'm definitely going to give this a little bit of a slight widening, because what I need to do is offer it up against the side pieces to make sure that this section with 2 in it gets aligned exactly the right place. The information on the Sarissa side of things does say note the position of the free slot. As some of you may have noticed there, I've just taken that sprue out and broken it. So do you know what? We're going to glue that on in a minute. I would say, obviously, not ideal. A little bit too rough with the pile there. That wasn't the world's most robust thing. I have a feeling that's not going to be a major problem. The overall look at the kit. But I did say earlier, this is probably quite an easy kit to have issues with. And I've just answered my own point there. Now, you probably can't tell from the angle I'm at, but it's looking like the slot wants to be on this side with the free one here. So what we'll do is we'll glue that down, and then we'll reaffix this, and we'll show you what we're doing most of that. Let's get this guy in. A bit of glue. A bit of glue on that edge. We'll need it. And then obviously here as well. Oops. The nice thing about wood glue is that it will dry clear. This is requiring a little bit of effort to actually complete in terms of pushing it in. What I'm going to do is just run some glue down the outer edge, which is, I believe, what's required to fit that in there. Let's just make sure. Put that the right way up. Actually, it's a bit different to that. It's that side, okay. Right. So having a look at that, the glue needs to be on this side. We can like that. If that's, you know, a majorly piece of the structure, we've got it glued. Okay. So just to revisit the instructions, we've completed this section up here. We've gone down here, put the side panels on. I know you've just seen me put the last one on. These little indicators here, sorry, let me just bring that forward. We've come down, put this last piece on here, but you'll notice that the instructions are quite clear. Please just make sure you get the slot, the choice of 2, in the right location. I think if we look at that from the bottom, you can see that we've got that nicely aligned, and that slot that I mentioned with my ham-fisted damage is on this side, and the free slot is this side. Okay. So, page 1 of the instructions completed, which actually takes us to sequence number 6 on the next page. So here we're looking at this top section here, and I think if they fell out earlier, it's these pieces here that we're interested in. So I'll whiz the page around so that I can read it properly, and we'll go from there. So we're looking for one section with all of its slots at the top side. We've got a section with 2 and 1. We've got another section with all 4, but a smaller variety. And then another 2 and 2, but again of a smaller variety. So I would say that's quite interesting to work out where that goes. From the diagram, it just shows you the pieces. You have to look at the next diagram to show you where it's already been placed. And I think the key thing here is that we're looking for these slots that are facing down. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 choices, and we have 4 pieces. Now, the way that the diagram is aligned, we have the side with the 2 slots on, so here and here, is now facing me. Now, that, to me, and also the 2 slots that we talked about are there. Now, it appears to me as though this section, which is actually the furthest away from me but closest to you, is the one that we need to target. Now that looks like a 2 and a 2, as in it's got 2 pieces up and 2 pieces down. The tags are on the outside, but I'm not entirely convinced by it because I'm looking at the next section down, and I can see that we require some of these to be at the top, so they have to be facing outwards. So this is going to take a little bit of thought, I think. Have a quick look at the diagrams just to explain to you what I'm looking at. This is obviously the top section with the 4 pieces that we've identified. You can't really see where they're due to go, but you can see them in position here. Look. So we've got 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, all 4. So I'm just working out myself where I think they should match in terms of the orientation. I'm going to start trying to locate this one because I've got the clearest picture of that post affixing, if you see what I mean. Now, taking a look at that, we have 2 slots down and 2 up. This is the outer side because it has the tags. It needs to be angled that way to follow the angle that I've got for the rest of the building. And I think the diagram shows it like that. Now that's quite a good fit. Oops, just to make sure you guys can see. It's quite a good fit. It has a single slot outside. It has the 2 slots there as per the diagram. So I'm going to leave that one in position, not glued, whilst I try and locate the others. Now, looking down the diagram, if I try and tackle this side, it's the slot furthest away from me, closest to you. It has a slope, but it has 2 slots effectively going in the same direction. So it's not an entirely easy thing to spot. But what I'm thinking is it's this piece here. You can make out that it's got 2 slots coming out. There's which meets that one. We don't appear to have any downward slots. The only other one that it could be, I guess, is this one. So we have to decide which one of the 2 it is. I'm more inclined for it to be this one, simply because they don't look that far apart. But that does mean that it will be a slight angled input, and I'm not convinced that that's correct either. I think these need flat slots. The diagram does look like it's a short one of the 2. The other long one looks like it's out this side. So let's just pop that one over there for the time being. See if I'm going to go this one over here, because this one feels right, and I'm going to take a gamble on it being fitted on that last one, because these are all straight. These are all straight edged, straight components. That's just worrying me a little bit because that doesn't look entirely comfortable there. The diagram does show 2 slots minimum. It doesn't show the 3rd. But again, because that 3rd one is, possibly you can't see that, but the 3rd one is at an angle, that wouldn't fit correctly in that slot. So it has to be a straight up and down slot. So I'm going to not glue them for the time being, just in case I've got that wrong. I'm going to proceed to add the what are labelled pieces 11, 12, 13 and 14, which which it now says in the diagram are the card courtyard walls. So let's see what they are by looking at the card pieces. Excuse me. Back to that section that we had. Card. So it's going to be something like these. Again, great to know that these sections don't have any indication or labelling, I'm afraid. Again, not going to be too critical of Sarissa in that account. It may very well be that they're on the website or there's some clear schematics that we can follow. I'm just going from what was supplied in the kit that we've opened up this evening. Okay, got some more card pieces here. Some more pieces here. So again, you can probably see that these have got, these aren't straight, they have a slight angle. If you ask me to guess, it's a slight angle, but I would say that's something like a 10%, 15% tops gradient. But in keeping with everything else, we've got the slots here, the tags, but also we've got the tags for the end. Now, obviously these don't align, but you can see from your picture that this is where these tags on the outside come in, I presume, because we're going to have to tag into them. Now, the concern I've got is that we're now talking about tags that are somewhat away from the building. So I can only assume that we're looking to get close in to this end, rather than fit out here on this end. We're trying to fit into here. So if I try and find one that looks a good match, well, we're looking for something that's got that angle there. So choices are this one, but again, there can't be that piece because it's not got the tags there for that one, and we would be at a different angle. These aren't reversible, so for me it has to be that one, and that forms onto there quite nicely. You'll notice that one side is blank. I think that's intentional. Clearly we're going to come back here and do something else. Again, I'm not going to glue these just yet until I'm really comfortable that we've got the right pieces in the right place. I'm lining these around until we find the right ones. I don't think that's anything that I'm interested in at the moment. Okay, I think it will be that one. Okay, that's got the right about it. Let's move this around. So I think that's clearly that one as well. Okay, we have one last one to fit. Now, I'm beginning to get more comfortable that I have the pieces in the right place, simply because we've got this arrangement going on here where we've got an angled piece slotting in front of our straight piece, if you see what I mean. If these weren't in the right place and needed to be fitted further back, we wouldn't have the angle for these to be present on. Similarly with this one, same kind of thing, we need that angle on the outside. This one, same angle. This one again. So now we're in that position, I'm feeling slightly more comfortable about gluing those into position. And in fact, I think I will go back and glue these now, because obviously the more we add, the more we're going to make that a bit of a problem if we have to come back and do it. So let's do these now. And let's hope that that was the right decision. These ones, I'm going to pop just a little bit of glue in here. I'm going to put a bit of glue on these guys. Run that all the way down. I'm just making sure that they're pushed over little slots, and you can see possibly that there's a little bit of cardboard that comes popping out if it hasn't already. And I think this is another one of those moments where you need to think carefully about what we're doing, because these hoppers are quite proud. I'm going to get my little needle file again and try and go around those. Probably didn't need glue on the edges there, but there we go. Okay. Let's move around here, do this one. Get this one out carefully. This one out. Put glue in that slot. Okay. And then just remembering my own advice, just doing the center sections and the edges, not the bits that are going to poke through. A little bit in there as well. Completeness. The bit that's off camera, which is the end piece. Slide it down. I have to admit, I didn't think any of the kit was cardboard. Don't particularly have a problem with that, as long as it's, you know, well supported. It's not fitting perhaps quite as like, oh, there we go. There's definitely a knack to locating those items. Just needed to make it a little bit more comfortable for me. Okay, you can't see it, but we're now starting to get a nice join down the edge here. So I'm just gonna, for my own convenience, just put a little run of wood glue down there, run it in with my finger, and hopefully that will hold together nicely. Okay, move round again, comfortable. That may be a little stiff. So we'll look at those with a little bit of filing, pop a little bit of glue in. There we go. Oops. Again, make sure it's nice and flush. Put the third outer wall on. Again, put that around there. Oh, it's just going to have to push out there. Okay. Probably can't tell on the camera, but you sort of pull these around, they catch over, and then they definitely locate themselves a little bit better. Last wall. Yeah, it's quite a nice little fit, that one. Those guys there. So what I'm doing, as I say, is just putting blobs in between those tags. Obviously we don't need glue on the top of the tag. Because they poke through the cardboard. Slide it down again. Oops, excuse me. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of glue down this edge. Smear that in with my finger. Now, you probably didn't hear that, but it does actually click when you have it over the lugs in the correct manner. And it joins nicely like that. Okay, so I'll take another external shot so you can see it, and I'll blend that in a moment. Hopefully you can now see the sort of effect that we're getting, and you can see that there's a small gap along the line there. Not entirely sure why we've got that, but it's there. And it's now feeling reasonably sturdy. We're ready for the next stage. Okay. So we've fitted the cardboard sections we showed a moment ago. Oops. Now we're coming on to these sections here. Now there are two. It appears to be two in every section. So I'm just going to try and take a look through the material that we've got and find something which looks like the right choices. So as you saw from the diagram, they're about, well, they are different sizes. And again, sometimes I find it really useful to go on a diagram and look at what it's supposed to look like. So you can see here that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 more on each side there. This is obviously the longest run, these being a shorter run. So when we return to this diagram, we are definitely looking for two pieces. We're looking for them to fit into those two slots, and we're looking for pieces that are going to be, you know, just over this sort of section. I think this sort of length of section. I'm relying on the instructions telling us if they were cardboard, and it doesn't say that they're cardboard anymore. And let me just get my diagram aligned. Sorry, my model aligned to the way the diagram is, and have a little look through what we've got here. No, it's clearly not those ones. I think they're much further on. The pieces are fairly plain, as in they've got no cutouts, no holes, no windows, nothing like that at all. We're looking for what appear to be walls. I just found this section. This is looking potentially interesting because, again, we've got the same kind of slight sloped arrangement going on at the ends here. So I'm beginning to feel confident that this is something that we should be interested in. I'm going to put that to one side. What I'm looking at here is this section, which is a smaller version. So I'm wondering whether it's something like this here. So these are falling out anyway, so I might as well take these out. We have 4, but as you can see, these are a similar size. So I think these are the larger section here. So given that they've come out, I think I'll have a little look at fitting those first. Now, I think I'm going to put those to one side, actually. I'm not convinced by those. The reason being that what we're looking for, if we're looking at the longer section, has 2 slots and then 1. So we've got 1 and then 2, and 1 and then 2. These are clearly not the right pieces because they only have 1 and 1. So we're looking for a 1 and 2 arrangement. This is looking much more like it. I can't tell you what sprue that was from, because to be quite honest, they're all the pieces are falling out. And every time I lift one up and off camera, you'll see them. So again, we've got another 2 and 1 arrangement here. Another 2 and 1 arrangement. 2 and 1. Okay. 2 and 1. Another 2 and 1. So I think these 4 are going to be our larger sections. I think these ones are going to be the smaller sections. Interestingly, they're the same. This one needs a partner. Let me see if I can find that one then. There we go. So I think, given the arrangement that we can see on the diagram, certainly for the larger sections, there are 2 and a 1 combination. So let's have a little look and see whether they will fit. So let's move this around. Again, I'm certainly not going to glue this just yet. It's actually quite stiff. If we were to do that and then feed these back, would they meet? Yes, they would. And they would meet like that. So that's clearly an extra piece. It makes sense because this, if you can remember, was our blank section. So that blank section is going to be hidden by these two on front. Now, they definitely need some filing because they are noticeably tight. If I come back to this side just briefly and try the same arrangement with the smaller versions, again we're going to try and keep the angle at the right way, which means it will be that way round. So that will go like that. Again, similar 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And again, that's looking like it's the right height. So, sorry, the right length really, join. Although interestingly, it's got to be that way around, isn't it? Because we've got to have 2 and 1 and then 2 and 1. Okay, so I'm comfortable that they're the right ones. Just want to make sure that we give them a bit of a filing. So let's go back to the big ones. Take these out. Take this one out. It already started to stick and I haven't even done anything. Get these a proper little file. What I'm doing here is just making sure that the top and the bottom is fairly well supported. Try and give it a fighting chance of being a bit more durable. By that I mean making sure that I don't wreck the joins by being a bit overzealous and breaking the MDF. I think it's a fine balance when you're doing a model like this, preparing a kit I should say. Obviously you want it tight enough to make a sensible join. You don't really want it so tight that people damage it putting it together. I think in this model there are a couple of joins that are a little bit too tight, but the general impression is of a kit that is well thought through. I'd love to see the actual pieces labelled on the pieces, if you feel with me, so that you can actually follow it a bit easier. But again, I suspect that there's some website instructions or similar that will show you each sprue and the key to the actual pieces that it contains. So again, just revisit our alignment. We want the angle to follow the angle. which means that we have to come here on this one. We want the angle to follow the angle. That's going to be that way around. Don't want the 2 in there, we want the 1 at the end. We want the 1 at the end. And we want the 1 and the 2. Okay. Okay. So let's take this section off for a minute and work on the one that's closest to you. Put this little glue in each section. 1, 2. Go to the inner one first, obviously. Oops. That's that one. And it's really important to make sure that is fully located and level with the rest of the base. Now we can do the same thing this side. A little bit of glue in there. There. Glue this side. Whoop. Okay. Feel like that's gone a bit too much. There we go. So again, it's fairly easy. You've got 2 slots here, marry up against the 2 slots, got the one that's on the inside. And the only thing, oh, okay. There we go. Same arrangement. I was about to say that obviously with 2 slots, it's even more important to try and get them lined up properly. Okay, that's gone on fairly well. You can see it does hide that sort of blank section. And we've got a similar arrangement over here on this side, albeit with smaller sections, as in smaller runs of wall. Same kind of arrangement, and again, always keeping an idea of the angle. And as per the ones on the other side, I think I'm going to run down these with a little bit of a file and a gap. I'm just going down and holding that middle piece is particularly delicate, so just make sure you hold it so that you don't damage the whole model by popping and breaking that tag. I don't think it needs a lot. I'm just doing a very quick run down. Around to the side, just to make sure that we've got a bit of movement there. Okay. Just sort this glue out. So again, principle is keep the angle correct. So that one's got to go over there. So I'm going to assume that this guy is okay now. Oops. So again, there's only one slot over here. So let's make sure that we put that into the nearest one. There we go. And again, same principle with this one. Oops, show what I'm doing there. Just going for the 2 under 2. Okay. Leave it off. Much closer together. Again, we need a 1 and a 2. Let's go for the one over here. There we go. The 1. Put some glue. Got doubled up on the glue there, but no problem. Okay. I'm not entirely sure why we've got 2 sections there with 2. What I mean is why we've been given 2 bits of MDF on each section, because we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, and really, if anything, only this outer facing is visible, and I suspect it will be covered in a minute in a similar way to these guys. But you know, there you go. And now we're on to this section, which, as you can read there, says glue the keep and bastion walls to the base frames. So one assumes that that's another card section, but we'll have a look and see if there's anything that isn't card that has got, you know, a receiver for these tags on the side. And off camera, I'm just looking through various pieces. I have to say, the card immediately comes to mind, because if we look at it on the large section, it looks an ideal match for that. We have 2 sections here matching the 2 there. So I'm going to leave that one there for a moment, because I do think that that's probably the right version, or the right choice. What else have we got in the cardboard? Okay. Some more sections that are coming out. Okay. So these are clearly too small for this run here. It's not them. But given how well this one matches, I am convinced that it's now for us to find within the rest of the cardboard sections. Excuse me while I lean over. There's another section there which looks like it's a good match. Bear in mind, each section has a set of 1 tags and then 2. So we have 1 and 2 on this one, 1 and 2 on that one. I'm just going to stand up look out over the remaining pieces. Okay, sorry for that off-camera nonsense, but I think I found them. I've also found these pieces, which I believe will be infilling on the side pieces here. I found one of the short ones. I think as well these might be one of the longer ones, but we'll come back to those in a minute. So I'll keep those two larger ones and the smaller one. We'll probably find the others in a moment. So the two and the ones I'm going to put to one side as well, and we'll fit these ones on the longer side. Just check that they're roughly the right size. Yes, they are perfect. So we'll just go along and we'll do our gluing. Same thing before, we're trying to make sure that they just pop over the MDF tags or lugs. So there's definitely a knack to this. You can feed it on the edge with your thumb or your finger. Not entirely sure that one's as fixed as I would like it. That's a bit better. Of course, they pop out the other side now. Again, go a little bit careful because it is only card. But we're trying to get this sort of effect, isn't it? Where we've located them over the top of the lugs. Oops. Again, we're joining the cardboard to the cardboard. So sticking a little bit of glue on the edges is probably a good idea. Okay. Still not entirely sure why we've got card on the outside, but I guess it's because it takes the pattern of the stonework a little bit easier than MDF. I'm inclined to tell you not to worry too much about the join the cardboard, as in cardboard against cardboard on the edge, as long as we get the wall glued to the MDF. we can always come back a bit later and fix the wall. As in, come back a bit later on and fix the end pieces on. Okay, now let's do this section. Same sort of deal. It's a good, that lines up nicely. I had no idea how much time I should set aside for this really, so I'm just going to carry on until we're done. And the only time I might change my thinking is if we have to think about painting. So in other words, I don't want to cover a section that I would want to paint before fitting any pieces on top, if that makes sense. And the one thing I am thinking about is that the cardboard needs to be very firmly fixed to the MDF. So it may be prudent to take a little pause in a moment and ensure that we give that a little few minutes to settle. I guess if you were so inclined, you could easily use a bit of super glue. But I'm not convinced that that would fit in the long run any better in terms of the glue strength. Come on. I'm just going to get my little file in there and encourage that over that last section. There we go. Again, I've got a feeling this is one of the areas to take a little bit more care, because it's probably the easiest one to rip a bit of cardboard. We've got that going nicely there. Okay. Right, for some reason that last section was a little bit more challenging, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue down the edge. Fingers to kind of smooth it out, make sure it's just in the gap. Okay. There we are. So I think a little bit of a pause now to make sure that that glues for a little while. Back shortly.